First of all, I give shikayach to Rav Levi. I am not as a palace speaker as him, so you'll have to forgive me for that. Rabbi Levi, there's one difference between us, that I actually saw Rebbetzin Chana. I saw her even on the day she passed away, actually, because I was with my father that day. But anyways, getting back to the Kesher of my father to Rebbetzin Chana, as Rabbi Berel mentioned about the trains, by the way, they were more like cattle cars. The top was open, and the smoke from the coal that made the train go, the people sitting in the train got black from the smoke. And also what used to happen that many times that they had to disconnect the train and let it sit in a field till the middle of the night, when they bribed the Russian guards and the Polish guards, and they let the train through. So even if you were lucky enough to get a ticket on the train, you never knew if you would actually make it through or not. So my father had a mazel that until that point, Rebbetzin Chana traveled on other type of passports, but they had a passport for a mother and a child. So the Leil Mochkin and the Moshe Lemberger, the guys who were in charge, they chose my father. My father was 19 at the time. My father had no idea who the Rebbetzin Chana was. And for the most part of the journey, she didn't even speak to him. She just sat quietly. In those days, if you had nothing to say, you were simply quiet. There was no reason to speak. Especially Rebbetzin Chana, whose last name was Shnes, so she was in grave danger. But along the way, my father already heard who she was. I have an aunt. My father's older sister, soll sein gesund, Mrs. Yurkovich. She was a girl at the time, and she used to walk with Rebbetzin Chana or help her out on the train, because my father was a bach and she was a girl. And even in Pucking, my aunt used to walk with her, take walks with her. In the beginning, she also didn't know who it was, except that here was an older lady. And in 46, Rebbetzin Chana was 66 years old. And with everything that she went through, so she actually looked older. So there's a story we heard that somehow some of the Chassidim heard that Rebbetzin Chana has a gattel of the Tzemach Tzedek in her suitcase. So they offered to help her carry the suitcase. So she said, it's okay that the one who helped me until now will help me further. That she didn't want any extra help from people who she didn't really. Anyways, my father ended up going to Pucking, and from there he went to the Levaya Yeshiva. Rebbetzin Chana went to Pucking. She was there for a while, and then she went to Paris, and there's in Tafshin Zayin, the Rebbe came to Paris for a while to work on the paperwork. When the Rebbe went back with her on the boat, and they were supposed to arrive, Chodesh Sivan, so Rebbe Yisrael Jacobson comes into 770 to the Bachrim, and he tells them that the Mechutenist of the Rebbe is coming, and he needs Bachrim to join him to be them Mekabel Ponim. Weistes as a Skumah von Hecher. It came from higher, from the Friedrich Rebbe. And a delegation of the Sheikh Chabad also came. And in those days, you were able to come mamish almost until the boat, literally. So the Bachrim are waiting there, and Rabbi Jacobson and some ladies, and they see how Rebbetzin Chana and the Rebbe are, approaching the customs, and they open the suitcase, and they see that Rebbetzin Chana has very, very, very nice dishes. So they start asking her questions: who it's for, what's it for, And Rebbetzin Chana got flustered because it was an official in a uniform was asking her questions. So she pointed on the Rebbe that the dishes are for him. And then the Rebbe gave a sharp look at the customs official, and the guy just closed the suitcase and told him go. So the Rebbe told my father that my father should go in to visit the Rebbe's mother. And when the Rebbe's mother heard my father is here, so the Rebbe also asked my father to come and visit. And that's how a kesher started, like another kesher, another connection started between my father and the Rebbetzin Chana. At that time, the Rebbetzin Chana lived on Lincoln and Kingston Avenue. They say, I don't know if it's true, that the Rebbetzin Chana heard that the Rebbe used to cross Eastern Parkway, just go across Eastern Parkway without really looking at the cars. You just go quickly across. So when she heard that, she just decided to move onto the other side of Eastern Parkway. There was different anash who knew Rebbetzin Chana and would visit her. She would wait a lot of times for the Rebbe outside the house. One time the Rebbe came and she asked the Rebbe, why'd you go to the aisle? So he asked her, how do you know why you went to the aisle? So she says, if Rabbi Krinsky brings you, I know that you're coming back from the aisle. The Rebbe used to visit Rebbetzin Chana every day, sometimes twice on Shabbos. She would walk with the Rebbe would walk with her down President Street. Sometimes he would hold her arm if it was dark. There's a story that Leil Zisman, who knew Rebbetzin Chana from Pucking, was walking on President Street. And the Rebbetzin Chana sees him and says, "Oh, Leil, how are you? How's everything? How's it going in yeshiva, the learning?" And the Rebbe just standing back, just listening, because the Rebbe has derech for his mother, and his mother's speaking to him. And Leil Zisman wants to bury himself because the Rebbe's standing right there and watching him. So, but even the Nat Lubavitches also used to stop at Rebbetzin Chana and tell her sometimes something. And Rebbe Yitzchok says a story that he was once in the Rebbe's house, and the Rebbe in the Rebbetzin Chana's house, and he came, and Rebbetzin Chana and the Rebbe decided to leave, and he saw that as the Rebbe leaves, the Rebbe is straightening out the chairs, and he's just walking like sideways. He's straightening out the chairs. And it happened once, twice, so he mentioned it to the Rebbetzin Chana. So Rebbetzin Chana says that the Rebbe does it that way because the Rebbe doesn't want to show his back to her. That's why the Rebbe goes sideways, but to walk sideways is like a little funny, so he's like pretending he's like straightening out the chairs. When my parents got married, Rebbetzin Chana came to the board. She came to the chasana as well, as Rabbi Berel mentioned. I heard that the picture of her alone, she asked to take a picture of her alone. So that's the picture, which in Mitzvah Shem at the end of tonight, I printed a bunch of those pictures, and everyone will be able to have that picture. And my father made that picture with the Rebbe's Ksav Yad Kedesh on the bottom, where it says, Horabonis Chana Shneis. So Mitzvah Shem at the end of the night, everyone will get a. Now, my mother actually knew Rebbetzin Chana from Paris because when there was a Kabbalah Sponim, I think by the Teschem Shalom. So they chose a girl to speak. So So the Zamshnessim chose my mother to speak, and he gave her a 4-page speech, and she chazed it balpeh, and she spoke to them. So Rebbetzin Chana already saw her and spoke to her over there. So the Rebbe's brother passed away. Yud Gimel Tavshin Yud Gimel, and he was sick for like a week or something like that. And somebody came calling my father, who was a bacher, that the Rebbe wants to see him. So my father came like about 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the morning to the Rebbe's house. At that time, the Rebbe lived in the apartment building on New York Avenue and President Street, and where my father came, the Rebbetzin told him that she went out to make a call to England on the public phone because the Rebbetzin didn't want to call from home. But during that time, the Rebbe already left the house, and the Rebbe went to his room in 770. So she told my father that the Rebbe's brother passed away. She asked him to call it at Shmuel Levitton, and he came to the Rebbetzin Chana, and they sat for like a half an hour and spoke. And the Rebbe said that nobody should tell his mother that her son passed away, because it would be too much trauma for her. Remember, she was an older person. She was already 72 years old, and the Rebbe didn't want her to have any more pain. She lost her children in the war. She lost her husband. In fact, I heard from Michal Askin a story that Michal Askin had the fruit store across the street, and he owned a black car, which he used for the fruit business. And he used to park it on President Street. And sometimes he would park it in front of 1418 President Street. And Rebbetzin Chana asked him, please don't park the car in front of the building, because it reminds me of when they came to take away my husband. So she said, do me a favor, please. I actually heard it from Michal himself. He says, don't park it here. Do me a favor, park it somewhere else. So she was very traumatized by the whole thing. But the Rebbe went every day to visit his mother. So my father took the Rebbe's sneakers, and the Rebbe painted the bottom, which was like a yellowish color, black, with shoe polish. So it should look like regular shoes. And the Rebbe told my father, when I walk in, 5 minutes later, come in. So my father knocked on the door. So the Rebbe tells the Rebbetzin Chana, somebody's here for you. And the Rebbe got up to leave, and he tells my father on the way out, die Mama hat nicht bemerkt die Schichlach. My mother didn't realize that I'm wearing sneakers and it's not regular shoes. And he tells my father that we also have to take care of the mail, which means that the Rebbe didn't want somebody should hear about the Rebbetzin, that the Rebbe's brother passed away. Somebody will mean well and send her a card, the condolence card or a letter, a Nichem Avelim letter. So the Rebbe wanted all of the mail checked. So my father made a copy of the key, and all the mail that came, of course, if it wasn't like a bill for the electric or the gas, but all of the personal mail that came, he would bring it to the Rebbe, and they would open it up and make sure there's nothing in there, then seal it back again. And also what the Rebbe did for all the years, for like 12 years, that the Rebbe's sister-in-law used to write letters, and the Rebbe's niece, Dalia, used to write as a child. She was 5-6 years old. And the Rebbe would, in his brother's handwriting, he would add a couple of words to the letter. Then they would take the letter, seal it, and put it back into the mailbox. And then my father would bring in the mail, and he would just give it to her like a pack of mail, and in there would be a letter from England. It came before Yontif, so Rebbetzin Chana, the Rebbe tells my father that we have to make a telegram, because in those days people didn't call, so you had to make a telegram. But my father didn't know how to make a telegram, because how it worked is, as the Rabbi Berel mentioned, when they typed in England, they typed over here in America on a piece of tape. Then they took the tape and they stuck it onto the telegram paper. So how do you make a new telegram? So Rebbetzin Chana took a kettle, a Junik, and she made smoke, and with the smoke, it sort of melted the glue which holds the strip of paper. And she said, you take it on a brand new piece of paper, and you stick it on, and you have a brand new telegram, and you put it in an envelope. And one time, the Rebbe gave my father the telegram, and he says, if my mother will ask you how you got the telegram, you'll already figure out an answer. You know, like maybe I just met the guy in the hallway or whatever it was. In Tafshin Yud Beis, the Rebbe asked my father, by the Seder, after the Seder, after the Seder, if he can walk his mother home, and if he can walk the Rebbetzin home as well, the Rebbetzin Chana. And the Rebbe says, I'm going to wait until you come back, and then I'll come out for the Fabrening. And Bechlal, the Kesher of the Rebbe, if you looked after the Rebbe's mother, or if you ever did her a favor, the Rebbe always owed you on some level. The Rebbe always felt. My father was a bacher, my father had no money. So the Rebbe once before Shavuos told him, you need money to buy a suit. So the Rebbe gave him $100, which was a lot of money in those days. I told him, you should go buy a suit and whatever else you need. And if your brother needs something, my uncle Junik, you should buy him as well. So my father bought the suit, and one time he was in the Rebbe's room. The Rebbe asked him, did you buy the suit already? So my father says, yes. So he says, are you wearing it now? So my father says, yes. The Rebbe says, okay, could you please turn around? I want to see the suit. So my father turned around, and the Rebbe says, I think that the suit is a little bit too small. And just to, one time, the Rebbe asked, the Rebbetzin Chana asked the Rebbe, was macht dein junger Bruder? How is your younger brother doing? Basically, because my father came out of Russia as Rebbetzin Chana's son, and so the Rebbetzin, always felt a special connection, so the Rebbe asked the Rebbe that question. And the Rebbe one time said, Savoy Brat, in Russian, which means, the literal meaning is brother, but it's also a slang for one of us. And there's many times that the Rebbe needed something done for his mother. He would always ask my father if my father could take care of it. And anyways, I want to get to Vav Tishrei, to the actual day today. I could say that I saw her on Vav Tishrei, because I was with my father that day, but I don't remember her. I was 2.5. But second day of Rosh Hashanah, the Rebbetzin Chana wasn't feeling well, and she didn't go to shul, but she went to shul on the first day. So she says, I know that going yesterday to shul wasn't really good for me, but it really doesn't bother me that the Tkiyas was so good. And she said, the Eibishter soll geben koyach. The Eibishter should give the Rebbe koyach. Listen to what I am telling you. You don't know what you what you possess. I'm not saying it because I'm a mother. I'm saying it because this is the real truth. Shabbos Shuvah, the Rebbe visited her regular, and she looked okay. But my father came to her in the morning, and she was very pale. No, my father came to her before the Rebbe came. She was very pale. That night, in the middle of the night, there was a bang, and the lady who stayed with Rebbetzin Chana ran in and saw that Rebbetzin Chana fell on the floor. She fell off the bed. She had a stroke. So she went out and she found a couple of bachrim, and Leil Brandel ran to the Rebbe's house, and he told the Rebbetzin actually, that the Rebbe's mother is not feeling well and had a stroke. 9 o'clock in the morning, Rebbe Chanukah called my father, and he says that the Rebbe asked that being that his mother's not well, if you can please visit her. I see how she feels, and I'm going to wait for davening for you to come back. I'm not going to come out for davening until you come back. When he came back, he said to her that in the beginning the Rebbetzin didn't recognize him. But in the end, she said, I'd like to eat, I'm hungry. So the lady, Mrs. Winter, went to make some food, and the Rebbetzin Chana fell asleep, and my father left, and he gave the Rebbe a report. And the Rebbe asked him to go again after davening again and find out what is going on. The Rebbe also asked if they can ask two ladies, Leah Khan, Mrs. Leah Khan, and Mrs. Shurpin, if they can come to the Rebbe's mother and stay and help her out. And after davening, when my father went, the Rebbetzin Chana recognized him immediately, because in the morning she didn't really recognize him. She recognized him immediately, and he went to tell the Rebbe. And the Rebbe said they should go hire a nurse. That Shabbos, the Rebbe spoke in the middle of the Farbrengen about Mani Yisrael doesn't care about himself, and he only cares about the people, about the Yidden. And the Rebbe was crying a lot. And many people felt afterwards that the Rebbe sort of hinted at something going on with his mother. Dr. Zellickson, who went to visit the Rebbe's mother, went over to the Rebbe, and he tells the Rebbe, Chana Bas, because nobody knew the Rebbe's mother's name. So the Rebbe said Rachel. So he said loud, Chana Bas Rachel Yifur Shleima. About 4 o'clock, my father ran after the Farbrengen, before Mincha. He ran back to the Rebbe's mother's house, and when he went over to her bed, she grabbed him by the hand, and seemingly she thought it's the Rebbe. So she said, "Help me." And these were the last words that the Rebbetzin Chana spoke. And my father ran back. It was the end of Mincha. He walked into the Rebbe's room after the Rebbe. My father couldn't tell the Rebbe that the Rebbe said, "Help me." So my father told the Rebbe as the Mama ruft the Rebbe. The Rebbe right away took out his handkerchiefs and his keys, and he put it on the table, and he ran out. He ran out. That the Rebbe usually puts on his coat in his office, and he goes out all put together. Over here, the Rebbe grabbed his coat, and the Rebbe was putting on his coat in the hallway of 770. And the Rebbe ran to his mother's house, and Rebbetzin Chana was there already. And the Rebbe was on one side, and Rebbetzin Chana was on the other side of the bed, and they were trying to calm her down. And she also fell and hurt her hand. So the Rebbe put his knee up, and the Rebbe put his mother's hand on his knee, and the Rebbe was massaging her hand, and Rebbetzin Chana was doing the same thing on the other side. After a little while, Rebbetzin Chana stopped, and my father took over massaging the Rebbetzin hand. In the meantime, a doctor came and said that you have to take Rebbetzin Chana to the hospital. And then they went to call another doctor, Leil. Dr. Zeltz also agreed that Rebbetzin Chana has to go to the hospital. The Rebbetzin Chana has to go to the hospital. So the Rebbe said, because 3 doctors say he's a gibich noch. Then the Rebbe said, over Nisto Kings County. That's what he said. So they took her to Brooklyn Jewish Hospital, which is on Park Place and Classen Avenue. The Rebbe went in the ambulance with her, and Dr. Zolkson and Leah Khan drove in the front part of the ambulance. The doctors were working at Rebbetzin Chana, and it was about 6:30 or something like that. Rebbetzin Chana passed away, and they came out, and they asked, and the Rebbe asked if you did this, if you did that. The Rebbe gave a couple of the suggestions, but they said that they did everything that they could have done. Agav, when it came taking the Rebbetzin Chana to the hospital, the Rebbe said, I'd rather have it here. If it's a question of money, it's not an issue. Why don't we just make everything over here? So the doctor said that it's really not a question of money, it's a question of the machinery, that it's not possible. And in those days, believe it or not, it took a long time until somebody came with a tank of oxygen. It wasn't like today, every Hatzalah car has every kind of oxygen. There was nothing around in those days. In the end, there was a lot of bachim there, and there was a lot of bachim, and when they put Rebbetzin Chana in a room there, and the Rebbe was there, and the bachim and the younger light, the Rebbe said, so the Rebbe said that he doesn't know why everyone is pushing here, and it's not a farbrengen. Also, the Rebbe added, if somebody wasn't in the mikveh, that they shouldn't walk into the room. And the Levaya was Sunday. And the Rebbe stayed in his mother's house the night before the Levaya. And Monday, by Kriyas HaTorah, Zela Katzman gave his daughter a name, Chana, and the Rebbe sent a gift, $63, 63 single dollars. So that was way before dollars started. She had already $63. And the Rebbe came Friday, on Motzei Yom Kippur, the Rebbe came to the house. My father wrote 15 regoim. I don't know if it means 15 seconds or 15 minutes. I'm not sure. But Friday night and Motzei Shabbos, the Rebbe went into 1418, and he stood in front of his mother's door, but the Rebbe didn't go in. The Rebbe told my father he should take things from the house. My father said, if the Rebbe will give me, I'll take. So he says, what do you want? So he says, something like that. My father had a small siddur that the Rebbetzin Chana used. It got lost somehow. And you can see the finger marks of where she kept it pressed when she used to turn the pages of the Tillim. She keep her finger and twirl the page a little bit. And Cholomei Tzukah, the Rebbetzin Chana came there with my father, and she went over the things. Certain things they gave away to Moisdes, and certain things they brought to the Rebbe's house on the third floor. the Rebbe took something from his chafetzim of his mother, and he said, why shouldn't a Yid use this, especially somebody who was zeicha to be Mishamas, my mother? She will surely have nachas ruach that you will use it. And the Rebbe started crying a little bit. So that's a short what happened on Vav Tishrei. And I just want to end off by a quick story. Okay, we'll do that soon. Over here is a becher I got from Rebbetzin Chana as a gift. Chanukah Tovshin Chov Dalet. Some of my family members got Tovshin Chov Gimel, and the younger ones got Tovshin Chov Dalet. So, what do you see here? Tell me. Okay. You know what I see? I see the 9th pasuk of the 12th sukkim, which is what? Let's hear. What's the 9th pasuk? Yagaiti. I'm going to tell you why. Because about 13 years ago on Yutas Kislev, my kids were cleaning up the table after Shabbos, and my son has a becher of the Rebbe which my father gave him, and what happened was that becher together with this becher got lost. Friday, it was still, basically my kids were setting the table on Thursday, like 6, 7 o'clock, setting the Shabbos table, and they call up, say, Becher is missing. And what happened was, on President Street, we have a back alley. So I usually throw the garbage on my porch. And once a week I carry it out. That Thursday morning I carried out all the bags from the previous Shabbos until Thursday morning. So I figured if the Rebbe's becher is missing belonging to my son, and this becher is missing, it must have gone in the garbage. So what do you do? What do you do? But the garbage is taken at 7 a.m.
You went to the garbage out there.
So what happened was, I called Chanina Sperlin. And he told me I should send him an email. I sent him an email, and I wrote, the Lord the Becher, it's very holy, it's sentimental, and I wrote a whole email. And he sent it to one of the deputy mayors of New York and to the sanitation commissioner. And I tell my son, Itchel, says there's a garbage garage on Parkside and New York Avenue, which is Brooklyn 8, which Crown Heights is mostly Brooklyn 8. So I said, let's go there. Maybe the truck is still there. We get there. As I get there, I get a call from the deputy mayor for a city of New York. I heard what happened, and everybody is so upset. He tells me. I said, yes, everybody's very upset, even though nobody knew about it. I told him everybody's very upset. So he says, go in and speak with them, and if they give you a hard time, call me. So I walk in, like I mentioned, I explain to them. So they say, we have 12 trucks here, 11 already went to the dump. There's one truck here. Let's see which is your route, which is your truck. So they look at the maps, they identify the number of the truck, and they said, your truck is already in the dump, in the transfer station. So I said, okay, can I have the address of the transfer station? It's in Newark, New Jersey. I said, oh, it's okay. I'll go to Newark, New Jersey. Take me an hour and change, an hour and a half. I'm going to go. Anyways, my son and I went. We came there about 11 o'clock, and we told the deputy mayor that we were going. So he already called ahead, and I come there to the place. It's a huge facility, and we tell the guards. The guard calls the office, and the office says, oh, the rabbi said, here, send them in. So we come in, and they say as follows, that your truck, see that? I already have a truck. It says, my truck got there about 10:20. hashgacha pratis, because it would come a truck previous, I'm not sure I would actually have it. And it opened up the back of the truck and it pushed out the garbage. And they keep track of where every truck dumps. Then the tractor comes and takes the garbage, which is about 10 ton, and puts it on top of like a 40-foot mountain of garbage. And eventually it gets shipped out. So he says, you're lucky that the supervisor was busy. So he was working elsewhere. So your truck garbage is in one location. So they said, okay, I'm ready to go. So they gave us a vest and a pair of gloves, and they said, hold on a minute, that a sanitation officer has to be here with you. So they called Staten Island. They said, could you please send a sanitation officer to Newark, New Jersey immediately, because we have to go through the garbage. And I was sure I'd find it in no time, because I recognize my garbage bags. But once I got there, they're all black, a couple of white ones, and figured we'd start on top of the mountain. We climbed up, you rip open the bag. You could rightly tell if it's Jewish garbage or not. That's the easiest thing to tell. And I tried to throw the Goyish garbage here, the Yiddish garbage here, in case I have to look for it again. And we're looking and looking. At some point I found a bag which had some of my credit card bills. It says, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. And we're going through the garbage. Our shoes got wet from stepping on all the bags and everything. But Baruch Hashem was chilly, so it really didn't smell or anything like that. At some point somebody came with a small tractor and took the mountain and spread it over the floor. And 15 minutes later, my son opens a bag and he sees a tablecloth. And in the tablecloth, so we opened the tablecloth, and in the tablecloth there was the Rebbe's becher, and in that becher was this becher, and it was crushed, the top. But Baruch Hashem, this simcha finding the becher is like Ein L'Sha'er. Like it was like mamash anes. And then, of course, the council sent thank you letters to them. And I got an email at 6 a.m. I heard it was found at 02:40 a.m. Like there's a whole operation going on. But Baruch Hashem, so this is the becher. So Rabbi Butler is going to take it. And he's going to give everyone a chaim from it. At the same time, we printed today a picture of a Rebbetzin Chana with the Rebbe's Ksav Yad under it, which everyone can take.
I'm going to ask Hassan, a nephew, in the
I
vehicle, Berel Junik, a good friend of mine, Mendel Munshine, is going to be giving out l'chaim.